if it comes right down to it, I usually click the call button when I don't understand what's going on. Going on a quick run, but I've got something to tell you guys too. Let's go first. Did I mention it's not even 50 degrees out yet? Let's go. Actually pretty nice out. I'm not even convinced I'll need this sweatshirt by the time I start the second mile, but I guess that's why I gotta zip up. Nice thing about Sundays and being up early, it's a little bit quieter. But what I was gonna tell you guys, which I forgot until just now, I'm actually planning to go to Atlantic City soon. Today's Sunday. I'm planning to go probably Thursday, so I want to catch. There's a few reasons I'm going. Pretty much the number one reason is to meet up with a couple friends. I know at least 3 or 4 people who are going to be at Atlantic City when I will be there this coming weekend. And aside from that, I did start my running app, 1 second. So the other reason why I am going to Atlantic City during the Borgata Poker Open is actually not for the tournaments. I might sneak in one tournament while I'm there. But the other reason that I'm going is that there's going to be a Solve for Why meetup. And my buddy, Chip Extractor, Mr. Steve Catterson, invited me to come along. And then I actually was catching up on their videos on YouTube, and I commented on one and actually got a reply back, which was cool. It's kind of impossible to tell, though, if it's ever Berkey or Soto or Jordan Young. Also, I don't know why I would say Berkey last name, Soto last name, and then Jordan Young. Maybe because Young is a word. I don't know. Anyway, one of them responded and I replied back saying something about, I don't know, something. And now they actually kind of invited me to come along too. So now it's like, I feel like I have a semi-personal invite from the people running it. It seemed pretty rude not to go, don't you think? I definitely don't want to be rude, so I'm going. Pretty soon this app is going to tell me I have to start running. So then I will lose the ability to talk at the same time as doing this exercise. Here we go. Oh, man. Okay. So I'm going to go out there, see all those guys, and maybe, if we're lucky, just maybe, might get a little cross-vlogging in with Chip Extractor and with the Berkey and Solve for Why squad. So we'll see. Still pretty early. Still before I was planning to wake up today. See Tony in the morning. Gonna go shower, get ready for brunch. Going to brunch. I don't know, I'll probably show you the food or whatever. So for those of you who didn't see the video where I first started doing this, I'm going to be taking some hands that I have never seen before, that I did not play in, and I'm going to be running through them as though I was playing the hand myself. I will only get a certain amount of time per decision. Last time I did 30 seconds. That was a little bit short. I was rushing a lot. So today I'm going to try doing a 40-second timer. For those of you who have been asking, have I even been playing poker? The answer is pretty much no. I've been really busy with work and just haven't really found the time and the right balance to where I am playing regularly. So the home game in the Boston area is the last time I've played. But I'm going to be going to Atlantic City very soon. So I'll be playing a tournament there, and then hopefully in the end of September or beginning of October, I'll start playing higher volume again. More of my hands should be on the way soon, but for now, this is a pretty good alternative. A lot of you guys like this format, so let's get into it. And I promise I'm going to try not to harp on the timer too much, but I am just going to show, for those of you who don't know, I'm going to be running the clock here on my phone for myself, and then I will input a timer onto the video later so you guys can follow along. Okay, so this This session, well, I think he told me it's not actually a session, but it's a variety of hands from some different sources. So I know that some of them are at 2-5, some are 5-10. I think at least one main event hand. So I'm guessing these are hands that Chris thinks he misplayed. 5 hands played by a fish. I think that's pretty good. Let's get into our first decision. Okay, so our first hand is 2-5 no limit at MGM National Harbor. Great property. The low jack, which is one spot before the high jack, for anyone who doesn't know, posts the big blind. Okay, it folds around to her, so she's in for 5, and she makes it 20. Folds me on the button with ace queen, and we're deciding what to do. Readless, I'm okay with either 3-betting or calling. I think on the button, I might be more inclined to call because this person is going to be a little bit wider and we are in position. So we're going to have a decent time playing this hand. That being said, if I had a read that they would continue wide against 3-bets, then I would probably be 3-betting. But I'm going to say flat. I think Chris will probably 3-bet this hand. That's the funny. That's what I was like trying to think is like I want a flat, but I think Chris will probably 3-bet. Yeah, so Chris 3-bets to 60, and we get a call. So next decision here, the flop is King Jack 8 with 2 hearts. Was about 120 in the pot, and let's start. Low Jack checks. It's on us. I mean, her range could definitely be a lot of pocket pairs, a lot of Broadway, and I don't know, like maybe some stuff like suited ace X. So I kind of want to just c-bet and try to take it down. We have some equity, but I really just want to take the pot down and get all of her underpairs to fold. So I'm going to go ahead and bet probably just a little more than I 3-bet. I'll probably make it like 70 here. All right, let's see what we ended up doing. We down bet a little bit to 55 and she calls. So a little bit different, but I think there's no stack sizes here again. So this is a little bit tricky, but I think down betting is probably fine. 55 might get the job done the same as 70. This might be a little bit of a leak for me, just kind of sizing up in general. And I'm not sure if I would be planning to double or triple if I really get called here. So I kind of think I tend to size up in this spot so that I avoid them calling a little bit wider on the flop and me not planning to double barrel the turn, basically. All right, but we bet 55 and she calls. The turn is the 8 of diamonds and they check. Again, knowing stack sizes would be good. This is a spot where you could potentially plan to just barrel it off. But I don't think I want to double barrel and then give up. I think if I'm going to double barrel, I want to triple, most likely. She doesn't really have 8x. She can definitely have ace king and king queen, stuff like that. And I think she doesn't have underpairs anymore, so I think I'm just going to be in give up mode here. I'm just going to check behind. We bet 210 and she calls. So now the river is another jack and she checks. This feels like a really terrible card because if she's holding on with a jack, then she beats us. We beat all of the flush draws aside from Jack X of hearts, and we beat all of the straight draws, and we beat the board, which is actually kind of important because if she has like Queen 10, we're obviously ahead of that. So I mean, kind of the same reasoning that I had before. I do sort of want to just check and give up. But I do think we'll win some of the time, basically. I just don't really know what else we get to fold if we bet. So we ended up checking back and losing to ace-king. Let's get on to the next hand. 2-5, still at MGM National Harbor. Table has been very call happy. Okay, so we've got some reads here. Especially the guy to our left who has called almost every one of our opens for a few hours. Okay, there have been quite a few limp pots as well. So this sounds like a, kind of like a typical low stakes call happy game. So middle position limps, we have Jack 10 offsuit in the hijack, and it's on us. This is a little bit weird given the read on the guy on our left. If we had more of a post-flop read, I might still want to raise this. In reality, I probably am raising this to isolate the limper, but I'm going to go big given that the table's been pretty call happy, so I'll probably go like $30 or even $35 just to try to take it down, get heads up. I feel like if we go 25 or 20, we'll just get calls from the person on our left a lot. So I'll make it 30 by default. But with really special reads that the guy on my left is going after me, I would maybe just fold this. So let's see what we did. We over limp. Interesting. And the cutoff button in both blinds limp as well. I didn't really think of this, but I guess it's not. I don't really have a problem with it. This hand's gonna play pretty well. The cutoff, the button, and both the blinds limp as well. So that's what, a 6-way pot. I think we're 6-handed to the flop. So let's go. Yep, 6-way to the flop. It's 9-7-6. Small blind, who's a pro, thinks and leads out for 15, and it folds around to us. It's close. I feel like this is close between all my decisions. I can't fault a fold, but we do have 2 overs and a gut shot, so calling seems okay. My main reason for not wanting to just raise is that pretty much I expect when someone leads out into 5 people for half pot here, they have at least top pair, if not better. So I guess I'm more inclined to call than raise. Just because I don't think I'm getting him to fold much of his range now, and I don't really want to be barreling off. So I'm just going to go ahead and call. We called, and the cutoff and the button also called, so we're still now 4 ways to the turn. So that'll be, what, 6? There's going to be 90 in the pot. The turn is the king of diamonds, which I believe, gives us a double gutter. Completes the rainbow. The small blind now checks, and it's on us. I think this is a pretty fantastic spot to bet and plan to potentially barrel bricks, and obviously bet if we hit on the river. Most of the players in this hand should be capped to 1 pair. It's possible that they could play 2 pair or a straight kind of cagey here on the flop, given it's connected but not a flush draw board. But I think I'm going to go ahead and bet. I'm going to bet $65 so I can kind of threaten a big size on the river. We bet 110 and everyone folds. Yeah, I mean, I think that is fine too. I didn't really consider overbetting, but I kind of like it. I guess it's probably a case where I'm either going to overbet the turn and try to get lots of folds right now, or I'm going to bet smaller on the turn, but like still 2/3 or 3/4 pot, planning to barrel the river if I get 1 call. I'd have to think a lot harder about which one I prefer and like what my range looks like there. So I can't really like say that in a few seconds, but interesting spot. All right, hand number 3. There's 2 players away from the table, and so we're 4-handed now. This is 5-10 no limit at the Bellagio. We open aces to 30 in the cutoff. I guess you decided I didn't need 40 seconds to think about that. Button and the big blind both call. We're 1,200 effective. There's going to be roughly 90 in the pot. 3-handed. We are going to be second to act. So the flop is 10-8 for rainbow. Starting the timer, and we have an overpair on a spade board, but we block the nut flush draw. This is definitely a board that connects with people's cold calling ranges, especially in late position and the blinds facing our cutoff open. So I definitely want to bet for value here. This is also 5-10, so I expect people to be probably hanging on pretty tight, especially 4-handed. To whatever types of hands. I'm probably also not going away for a raise, so I'm going to go ahead and c-bet $65. We bet 80, a little on the big side, but I guess I'm kind of sizing on the small side with 65. Both the button and the big blind call, so not too shocking that they're doing this, but I didn't really want 2 callers, so let's see what happens on the turn here. The turn is the 5 of clubs, starting the timer. The pot's now pretty bloated, and I think we have about 1,100 still in our stacks. 5 of clubs completes 6-7, but There's a lot of other hands we're still way ahead of. I think I still want to bet to really charge the draws to continue, get value out of hands like 10x, 8x, especially some of the 8x that's going to now pick up gut shots. And yeah, occasionally we're going to be behind to like 4 or 5 from the button, but the big blind shouldn't really ever have us beat right now. So I'm going to go ahead and bet, I don't know, probably about 250. All right, let's see what we did. We check. Interesting. Okay, so Chris decides to check here, and the button bets 250, and the big blind calls. Interesting. I should start the timer here. Decision. I mean, we can't fold. Our hand is just too strong. We're too high up in our range, especially given that we checked the turn. We beat so much of the button's betting range here. Like all the 10x. He might bet some of his draws like Jack 9, 9 7, 9 6, Queen Jack. I mean, there's so many hands we beat. We can never ever fold here, even with the big blind calling. But there's definitely no point in raising. So I'm definitely calling and planning to now check evaluate the river. All right, so we call. The river is a 4 of hearts, and the big blind now leads for 300 with about 450 or 500 left. That's pretty gross. There's a lot in the pot. He might not really know that. But like, how much 4x can he really have? It's like, how can he really peel? I mean, the only 4x I think he can have would be usually like 5-4, and like he shouldn't even really have ace 4 of hearts. This is going to take me more than 40 seconds. Yeah, he can't even have the 4 hearts because that hit. He can't have like ace 4 of spades because the 4 of spades is on the board. And he can't have a backdoor flush draw on the flop with ace 4, and he wouldn't call the turn with that hand. It almost feels like he could have a boat here, but the problem is, shouldn't he be check raising that on the flop or check raising the turn? Be really surprised for him to not put in a raise earlier. He could have 6-7. That's a possibility. I mean, I know I'd be tanking in this spot in reality. It's a weird spot. So at the end of the day, I just think we're getting too good of a price, too high up in our range. And it's just so hard for him to have a 4 that makes any sense at all. Unless it's exactly 4 or 5 suited, and even then he might check raise the turn. I can't let it go. I'm definitely calling here. I'm not 100% sure it's the right call, but I'm definitely calling in game. So I'll stop that. I would have been in the tank for about 2 minutes, and let's see what happened. So we called, the button folded, and we win against jacks. It's one of those spots where I feel like I can't exactly put him on hands that make sense, but because there's so many hands that make more sense that we beat than the hands that don't make sense that we lose to, that we just have to call. Like I wouldn't have expected him to have jacks or to bet jacks like this on the river to lead it, but it's like kind of a protection-ish bet, I guess. So yeah, like I said, I definitely can't fold just based on how unlikely it is for him to have improved on the river, or really have a nutted hand that beats us. All right, for this hand, we are back at 2-5 no limit, and we're at the Rio. We open pocket kings to $20. No decision yet. So the cutoff calls. Tight big blind player raises to 80 with 963 effective. What are we doing? He's tight, which makes this already inherently kind of a weird spot. It's one of those things where I almost feel like if I get the money in, I'm gonna be behind. Like, I don't know if this player stacks off for 200 big blinds with pocket queens and ace king. So I almost want to flat. We maybe get the cutoff in there, and 4-bet folding seems really gross. I think I'm gonna maybe 4-bet some of the time, but also call some of the time, and Like, as a default, I think I might just call here, as nitty as that sounds. So we end up 4-betting to 155. I like that it's small. I think that's pretty smart to do it small, because we just let in much more big blind's 3-bet range. And don't make it seem like he has to put his whole stack in on the flop to play this hand. I'm actually thinking I might have seen this hand. I feel like we've talked about it before. It's kind of ringing a bell. I feel like flop's gonna go check check, and then something weird is gonna happen on the turn. But let's just pretend I don't know anything about this hand. So the big blind calls. We go heads up to the flop. There's gonna be about 320-ish, 330 in the pot. The flop is Jack 9-2 rainbow, and he leads into us for 125. Okay, well, something weird happened on flop. We don't have the king of diamonds, but it probably shouldn't matter. His range is probably like, I have no idea what his range is. I mean, he can definitely have queens, kings, and aces and just lead this flop after just wanting to call or 4-bet and get value. He could have something like tens, maybe jacks, maybe nines, but I don't think he's even really 3-betting nines. I don't know if he's 3-betting tens against early position. But again, we're kind of in a spot where we're so high up in our range we can't fold. And I don't think I want to raise either. It's pretty weird though. I know I'm over time, but I think I'm just gonna call. It seems like it gives me the most maneuverability, and we still have decent stack sizes. We still have like 800 effectives, so we can't just like ship it, I think. But yeah, I'm gonna call. Okay, we call. So now there's gonna be kind of a buttload in the pot, and we're gonna have like 675 behind. The pot, the turn is 575 in the pot, and the jack of clubs on the turn, he shoves. This is pretty nasty. I don't think he's ever gonna have ace jack, so it's maybe not a huge problem for us, but would he really ship queens now when the jack pairs? I mean, there's like ace king of diamonds, maybe ace queen of diamonds in his range, but he also has aces that he might play like this, since he might not think that we can have a jack that often. God, this feels so gnarly to fold though. I mean, like if I fold here, I'm only calling with probably pocket jacks. No, do I even have pocket jack? I probably don't even have pocket jacks in this spot. My 4-bet range is probably like queens plus and ace king, and I might not even peel the flop with ace king unless it's ace king of diamonds. So my range here is like ace king of diamonds, queens plus. So like I think we can just fold queens probably and call with aces, and probably call with ace king of diamonds. Well, I don't know, we could probably fold ace king of diamonds, I guess. And then, man, I am really on the fence with kings. I feel like I don't understand his range well enough to make an exploitative play, so I'm trying to, play the correct part of my range so that he can't exploit us by bluffing. So yeah, I mean, I almost feel like I'm gonna call with kings some of the time, fold it some of the time, but I guess if it comes right down to it, I usually click the call button when I don't understand what's going on. I also think I remember this hand now, but in game I probably call, but now I think I remember the result, and I think he had to fold. But result, we bleeping fold. Okay, I mean, yeah, so the problem is I like started to remember this hand, and I'm pretty sure that right afterwards the player asked like, did you have aces or something like that, or asked, did you have kings, and I don't think they showed ace. All right, the video just cut off there, but hopefully we still got all of that. But basically, I think the player like asked if he had aces or kings or something like that, and I think they had aces, but whatever. Weird spot, really gross spot. In game, I'm kind of a calling station. Outside of the game, I'm like really torn about pocket kings. Definitely calling aces there. But yikes. All right. I'm pretty sure he made a good fold though. All right, so this hand is our last hand, and it's from the main event this year. It's on day one. Blinds are 150, 300, and the ante's 25. Mega deep. That probably means like you start with 50K, so we're probably, just an ungodly amount of chips deep, like around there. So let's go ahead and look at the spot. Loose player opens to 800 from early position. Low jack, who looks like a pro, 3-bets to 2100. Kind of small sizing. We have queens on the cutoff. Ugh, I really hate cold calling 3-bets because I think it's a little bit too face up. I think I'm just going to 4-bet small most of the time in this spot, especially because if this guy's a pro, he can have a wider 3-betting range than just like, 10s plus, ace, queen, ace, king. So I'm going to go ahead and 4-bet, put in the cold 4-bet, make it probably try to make it pretty small. Maybe just go a little more than 2 to 2.5 his size, so probably make it like 4,500-ish. We 4-bet to 3,500, and the low jack calls. Interesting, that's very small. I don't know how I feel about making it so small. It's kind of to keep all of the bad hands in, I get that, but I don't know, this might be a little bit face up too, and kind of cap us at something below aces maybe. I'm not sure if that's actually true, but that's kind of what I'm thinking. Anyway, let's go on to the next decision. So the flop is king 10-4 all hearts, and we have the queen of hearts. It looks like 84.75 in the pot. Is that right? 7K, 7,800. Did you get that sizing right? I'm not sure. I'm not sure if that sizing's right, but anyway, let's just assume that the flop pot size is correct. He checks. I want to put in a small bet to punish hands like ace queen with the ace of hearts, ace 10, ace jack with the ace of hearts, and pocket pairs with the heart. I don't think we're going to get 3 streets of value ever, obviously, out of this hand. We might not even get 2. Tentatively planning to check back. Well, I'll probably bet turn to get value from draws again, but I'm definitely betting, and I'm probably going to make it like the same size I 4-bet, so like 3,500. We check. I don't love it. I just feel like we can get a lot of value, and it's not like it's not like he always has ace king, or king queen. But there you go. We check. Turn is now the jack of spades. They check again. I'm definitely betting now. He should almost never have a king at this point because he's gonna like lead the turn because it's so wet. The only hand with a king in it that he might check would be, I guess, ace king, specifically with the ace of hearts, because he just doesn't fear anything. But I'm gonna go ahead and bet. Same plan as before, except I'm gonna size up a little bit now. We are also open-ended. He could technically have some 2 pairs, but again, I think he's probably going to lead those on the turn, like king, jack, jack 10. And now there's even more draws out there, like queen, jack, queen 10 suited, things like that. So I am going to bet 4,000. We bet 2,400, I guess, trying to keep like everything in, and we get a call. To be fair, my sizing tends to be a little bit big in tournaments. It is pretty typical to bet more like a third to like 30 to 45%, 30 to 40% of the pot, something like that. Couldn't spit that out, sorry. Okay, so we get the call. Let's go to the next decision. It's another jack, and it's the jack of hearts. They check. We have a kind of weird spot here. He could definitely have the ace of hearts if it's ace X. Actually, he shouldn't really have the ace of hearts that often because like we have the queen, the king, the jack, and the 10 are on board, so it would have to be ace 9 through ace 5 or ace 3, ace deuce of hearts, like suited probably. He shouldn't really have those offsuit combos, so I think we beat a lot of hands. However, because the jack pairs the board, well, no, but the jack, yeah, I said he shouldn't really have 2 pairs, so I don't think he's going to have boats here a lot. So I think I'm going to bet, but like really, really small. I'm going to bet like 3,000. We check back and win against the other pocket queens. Wow. All right, well, so I wouldn't have gotten called. I think checking back actually might make sense, just because now that I'm thinking about it for a little bit longer, I'm not sure if we really get value from anything. Like, now that there's 4 hearts on board, probably not jack 9. It just feels like there's so few hands that call, and I think we beat most of them. But there you go. Okay, so still obviously getting used to this format, still working out the kinks. Let me know in the comments down below what you guys thought. Planning to do more of these, especially while my volume is low to non-existent. Again, I'm hoping that by the end of September, maybe early October, I will start playing more again. But right now, it just doesn't make sense. This is a really nice compromise because it's a lot faster for me to make, and I don't have to go play an 8-hour session to get hands for you guys. I can just mooch them off of Chris. The other idea that's been rattling around my head has been to change this format to a share my pair format where you can see the action going around the table. What that would also allow us to do, I think, is to get you guys involved, sending me hands, basically just see what I think about hands that you've played. I don't know if that's something you guys would be interested in, so just leave me a comment down below. And if you haven't subscribed, you should go ahead and do that too. I'll see you guys in Atlantic City.